here with Alzie Mercado. Alzie, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, Alzie.
Alzie Mercado. Judith Monachina, Housatonic Heritage Oral History Center at Berkshire Community College, and Erica Spiz behind the camera. Erica Spiz is operations manager at CTSB, Community Television for the Southern Berkshires, and also videographer and filmmaker. And Alzie is the technical director of the Robert Bolin Theater at Berkshire Community College.
Yes.
And we're here, this is our first interview for a series called Talking Shop that Erica and I are doing. We wanted to, it's a collaboration between the Oral History Center and the and CTSB. We wanted to get sort of a picture in sort of maybe 10 or more interviews of workplaces. And in particular, workplaces that you don't work that you don't normally see. So not necessarily behind the scenes, which is literally what you are, but sort of less visible and maybe a little more hands-on than what we're used to seeing work depicted as.
Gotcha.
So we have all this stuff behind us that shows us that some of what the hands-on stuff. This is just sort of props, kind of, but. So it's basically stories about people and their work and what they do. But we will back up, as we talked about yesterday, and I'll ask you some questions sort of that will lead us up to now. So really going way back, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood, where you were born, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'm originally actually from Manchester, Connecticut, which is about like 20-ish minutes outside of Hartford. My mom used to work in the city, and then my dad worked in a different town, so there was a lot of commuting back and forth. Anytime I remember my grandmother bringing us to visit my mom, we'd have to take the bus into Hartford, which was like a 20-minute, and then like having to run really quickly, at least, little kid legs, getting to her place of work. And she worked in like a massive, at least for me, it was like a massive skyscraper, like 50th floor kind of thing in the city of Hartford.
Yeah.
But in 2000, we moved here to Massachusetts, and we've been here since. It's cheaper to live in Massachusetts than it is in Connecticut, for sure.
Oh, wow.
It's also the environment, too, is just a little more peaceful. It's I live in Pittsfield, but it's not as city as Hartford is, for sure. So taking us out of that like busy metropolitan kind of environment and something a little just quieter. Definitely a lot more cows than we came in, and we're like, oh my gosh, there's so many farms here.
Even in Pittsfield, you find that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like trains. I know that sounds silly, but like there's no trains in Manchester. It was only the trains were in Hartford. So even like seeing a train as a kid, it was like, oh my gosh, a train. And now it's like you see them like.
What kind of trains do you see? Like freight trains?
Freight trains.
Yeah. Not much passenger, right?
Not much passenger here, but even in Hartford, unless you're in a particular area of Hartford, you don't see the train passing.
Right.
And there's no trains that pass by Manchester, so.
Right.
I know.
So Manchester's like a suburb, is that right?
I think it's like a village. It's really small. So,
yeah.
Like it has good shops and everything, but to really get to.
Oh, now I can remember. I've heard of Manchester for the shops.
Yeah.
I think people do go there for that. Yeah.
A little quaint little.
Yeah.
Like village-esque.
Yeah.
Kind of city.
So did you like visiting your mom at work?
I did, just because it was really high up. So, like she had the swivel chairs in her office, so my brother and I would get like super dizzy in the swivel chairs.
Yeah.
But like I remember always putting my hands up to the glass.
Yeah.
And then just looking down, seeing all like the cars and like people just walking the street and everything, just the busyness.
Yeah, 50's pretty high. 50's pretty high. So so you like living in a more rural kind of place.
And we visited like Boston and New York. Even going back to Hartford, I'm like, it's too busy for me.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so you landed in the right place.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So now, when you were at school, both in Manchester and here, did you have any inkling of what you might do for a living?
Definitely not this career. Since I was little, I always liked to draw. I was very much into art, and even going through school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Artist. Didn't know what kind of artist back then, but I was like, definitely artist for sure.
So, so was there an artist that you particularly liked, like a teacher or anyone like that you kind of admired?
No, it's like, for me, it was just like the enjoyment of drawing, and, you know, looking at something and just being able to draw what I see at face value. As a kid, I didn't really go in depth of like the different artists. It was just like, I want to do art. I want to draw for a living. I want to paint for a living.
So did you draw all the time?
Oh, yes. Doodles in my notebooks. My mom got me plenty of like sketch pads, and if, you know, we were traveling, there was a moment where I wasn't doing something else. If I had a pencil in my hand, I was I was doodling wherever there was paper, I was doodling.
Interesting. We'll sort of get back to that because I'm wondering how that sort of works in your current world.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Did you have any kind of like theater jobs or anything like that when you were younger? Were you around it at all? No. So
no, only like what schools like kind of forced us to doing. So like, you know, I think every child has to do some kind of performance for a class. So besides those, no. And for me, it was like theater was just the, oh, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I silenced my phone,
okay.
Not my alarms.
It's okay.
Okay.
We're
just gonna.
You know.
That's a great alarm.
I am so sorry. It's what.
Don't. It's okay.
Alarm. It took off all my alarms.
Now something will probably happen on mine that I didn't know.
I am so sorry.
We can always edit anything.
Okay.
And we might not. We might just say we might like it. So so when you had these theater. When you had theater at school, like you had a production you had to put on at the end of the year or something.
Yeah.
You were an actor kind of thing?
Yeah, I had a few lines.
Yeah.
I was super shy as a kid, so it's like, for me, just like, because I didn't really as a kid think about the behind the scenes of theater, all I saw was just the front, like actors in costumes, that's it. And I was like, I'm never going on stage. Like public speaking, anything like that. I was, put that to the side. I was like, I am not doing that. Absolutely not. Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, it was actually here that I kind of got into theater when I was a student. So I started as a visual arts major. And I think it was actually the first semester of college here that we went to a forum, and the artist that was brought in, the first thing she said her presentation was, 2/3 of you will not make it as artists. Like, yeah, that was, and for me it was like, oh.
Wow, at a college, that's a funny thing to say, isn't it?
It was, I don't think the art teacher knew that she was going to say that.
Yeah.
But she was talking from her experience of like what needs to be done as an artist to make it, and to
sort of make a living?
To make a living,
yeah.
And so that really got me thinking of like, well, how do I stand? Because you do that thing where you kind of compare your peers. You compare yourself to your peers. And I did that. In that moment, I was like, they are so much better than me. And I don't know how I can make my art into something that can sustain me and I can do it as a profession, realistically. And so my fifth semester here, I took, as an elective, I took a fundamentals of theater design class, and I fell in love with theater. And it was like, oh, like, this is what I want to do.
So you went in through design.
I went in through design.
What was that class like?
So that class, it went through the 4 basics of design, so set, costumes, lighting, and sound. And we took one, and we did it for a few weeks. So we started with set, and we started just looking at all these set designs for different shows and what can be done. And the purpose of the class wasn't to put restraints on like, this is a great design, but you need to do all of these steps. It was, this is what you can do. That was the whole purpose. So then we looked at designs, and then we were given a show and we had to read it, and it was like, okay, now you design for it. And so we did that for set, we did that for costumes, lighting, and sound, and it was wonderful. Like it just it just opened my eyes to like the possibilities that I didn't realize. And so it was kind of at that moment I was like, this is where I can take my art and use it. I could use it with set design or costume design. So from there, I switched my major to theater, and when I transferred to MCLA, I got my bachelor's in theater, and I involved myself so much in the theater. Like I was like a sponge because I had never done theater before. So my peers, they were doing this since like high school. I had none of that experience. So I was just like a sponge, and I was like, I want to do props. I want to do costumes. I want to do some sound. I want to, whatever I can do. I want to paint. I want to build. I want to just get all of this experience and figure out like what specifically I want to do in theater. But it was like the best avenue for me to kind of figure out where I wanted to take my art and still keep it applied. And
so when you were at MCLA and you were a sponge, was there a certain production that was really great or fun or that you learned a lot doing?
I think the one that I take with me is Catch Me If You Can. And I realize there's a movie version and there's a script version, which are a little bit different. So the script version, it's a murder mystery, takes place in 60s New York. And it's a really funny comedic murder mystery. But in that show, I was doing a bunch of different things. So I was doing like props for the show. I was assisting with building the set and painting, but then I was also assistant directing for the show as well. So I was there at the rehearsals, and then I was there during the days for whatever work needed to be done. But that was where I kind of like, I did a little bit of everything, and I might be biased. It was a really good show. But it was there that I got a taste of a little of everything. I got what the production side does, what the construction side does. I even designed like the posters, so I had a little of like the graphics, because I was on the crew, the only one who done like Photoshop and digital imaging. So I was like, I could totally do the poster for it. So I got a lot of experience from that show, and seeing the end product from like start to finish was so rewarding to see like where the actors started, and then also like where the crew started too, and like where our construction, where our props, everything, just seeing all of that come together was so fulfilling. And the director, he was really, really good that he gave the like power to the students. So once we hit Tech Week, which Tech Week is the week leading up to the performance, so it's where like everything needs to be hammered out. All the technology gets incorporated, so lighting and sound get incorporated and everything. He was like, I will be there, but I'm not going to say anything. You call the show, you are in charge. So like, not to put a low pressure, but we knew that going forward. So it's like, it made me cognizant that I had to be prepared in order to do this properly, but it really put like all of us kind of owned the show. And that made it even more special when like every night we got the laughters at the right times and people like really enjoyed it. It like made it just so special to get that audience reaction.
Yeah, so it's really live. Theater is live.
Oh, for sure.
Every minute of it. I mean, there might be something that you record and incorporate, but you still have to incorporate it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you really have to be on.
Oh, yeah. I think even there's days before Tech Week where anybody who's going to be involved in the production just sees the rehearsal from Act 1 through all the way to curtain. Just so they have a sense of what's going on, but everyone has to be on point, because it's the moment that you get a little complacent and something happens. And we've all had that. Like, I think it doesn't matter what position you're in, you get comfortable with something and you're like, I got this. And of course, that's the one time that like you missed your cue, or like, oh, I didn't get the handoff right, or whatnot. And honestly, like, theater has taught me to go with the flow. So when stuff happens, it happens. We just deal with it.
Was there a time you can think of where something sort of looked like it might fall apart and then you rescued it, or? Sorry, I didn't prepare.
Oh, no, it's fine. Actually, there was, two instances I can think of in undergrad. I was props master for one show we had done, and I like triple checked the props, and then one of the actors went and grabbed the prop, and they were doing a rehearsal quickly before we opened the house for the audience to come in, and they didn't put the prop back. They left it on stage, and she's supposed to walk in with it, and no one told anybody until the lights went out for the top of show, and the sound cue started, and we could not tell people to stop because we had just started. And on the fly, I was like, okay, quickly. And I grabbed, it was a phone, so, and luckily it was a modern show, so I grabbed the cell phone, we turned it off, completely shut. I said, you're going out with the cell phones, like we can't do anything about it. Another time was, an actor broke his prop that he was supposed to go out and dance with and didn't tell me, and I'm in the back taping it up quickly, just like fixing it. But it's instances like that, it's like you have to just quickly either cut it, or you have to fix it, or you have to just think of a solution just super fast, and whatever happens at that point. You can only do so much, and some things are out of your control. So
props is one thing, but now you're doing more technical stuff, right?
Yeah.
So how did you come back to working at BCC? How did that happen?
Yeah, so after I graduated MCLA, I reached out to the technical director who was here at the time, because I had studied under him. I took in some classes when I was...
Who was that?
Kevin McGarrigle.
Oh, I remember him, yeah.
Yeah, so I reached out to him, and I had run into an old classmate of mine prior, and he was talking about how Kevin was looking for help or looking to really revamp technical theater with the students, and I said, I would really like to, build up my portfolio again. My experience still, even going through MCLA, which was great, I didn't have as much experience as my peers who've been doing this since like middle or high school. So when I graduated MCLA, I went with the expectation that I would need to kind of prove myself. So I was willing to volunteer my time and build up my own portfolio, so then I could then be hired. So I reached out to Kevin and I said, hi, I heard that you're looking for assistants. I catch on really fast. These are the courses I've taken, my experience. Just was totally honest with him. And he responded, he was like, I'm looking for help. Let's meet and talk. And from there, he hired me to build the sets for the productions. And then slowly he was like, oh, since you're already, coming into the campus a lot, would you like to be building supervisor and cover events? And I was like, sweet, I would love to. And he's like, would you like to teach the practicum students? They would be, helping you and assisting you. And I was like, sure, I'd love to. So it was just like little by little, I was like becoming more involved in the college, and becoming more involved with the events and productions that we were doing here. And eventually when he left, I filled in the interim position for the technical director, and then when the position was up, I did apply, and here I am.
Wow. So tell us what the technical director does.
Yeah, so I am in charge as a technical director, and any technical director in theater, we're in charge of I hate to use the same word, technical aspects when it comes to production. So set, lighting, costume, sound. Projections are starting to, as they are becoming more popularized and utilized in theater, that would fall under there. Whatever basically that is not acting, and that's not like technically budgeting. That is what a technical director's like sole duty is. It's a little different here because some of my duties requires like budgeting and like putting in marketing requests and making sure that aspect's done, but typically a technical director is just maintaining and directing and making sure like all those elements are coming together cohesively. It's not the expectation that I do everything. So, right, especially for like our musical coming up, we're hiring designers to come in to help and do the work because one person cannot do like a whole production.
Tell us about the production. Would you just tell us what's coming?
Yeah.
And what you need to do. That'll give us a sense of your job. Yeah.
So we are doing Rebel Town, the Boston Tea Party musical, which is a first-time musical. We're doing essentially a world premiere, which is like super, super cool. I've never been a part of that, so it's really exciting. And So what I need to do for it, I'm in charge of building the set and making sure like our actors have a set to rehearse on before it's like fully completed. So we have the bare bones of the setup enough for their rehearsals. Now we're on the painting stage of painting the buildings, make sure the whole set comes together cohesively. Once that is done, then my duties kind of now half and half switch from making sure props are all set and then making sure with the lighting designer that we are, he's giving us plans, and then I am with students hanging, rigging lights, basically taking his plans and making them come to life. So where lights need to be hung, making sure we're patching.
What's patching?
Oh, sorry. So patching, to control the lights, which it's not like your typical light switch for a room. It's these massive lighting instruments that we call source 4s. And so we have to actually plug them into a specific circuit. And then we go to what we call our patch bay, where we have access to all the circuits in the stage. And we assign a circuit to a dimmer. And that allows us to control it. So let's say I have 10 lights, and I want lights 1, 3, and 5 to come on at the same time. I would patch them into their circuits, but then I would assign those circuit numbers to one dimmer. And so that dimmer is like a slider, and I can bring it up and down, and I can control all of those lights at the same time. And then I can make sure I don't patch lights 2 and 4 into it so that they can be controlled separately. So patching really is like the control system for lighting. It's how we say like, oh, I want certain lights to come on, I want a certain look to come up at a certain time. That's how we control it, is through patching, which it's very time consuming. It's easy on paper, but then it's like I've stayed like half an hour just like patching, because there's been like 50 plus lights that we've been using for a production. All of them need to get patched individually. So it's not hard, it's just extremely time consuming, but it's these like little things that like add up, and trying to get something done essentially by a certain time. It's like managing all of that carefully is the name of the game, so that like it gets done at the right time without feeling like we're pulling people's hair like in frustration or anything like that.
So then it's opening night and all this has to work.
Yes. But that's why we have tech rehearsals.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's like any kinks or any malfunctions we hope happens during tech at the beginning, so that we can work through them, fix them. It's better that everything bad happens during tech and then we have a really great opening night than like we've been all good and then, oh my gosh, the world's burning and like the technology isn't working on opening night. That's like the worst case scenario. But we try to make sure that with our tech, even before tech rehearsals, we try to make sure we've troubleshooted like all our technology. So I make sure all the lights are at least turning on and off, making sure like sound is working. So again, making sure like mics are working. So then when we put them on actors, we can just set their level, set, how like where their volume is and what that slider needs to be at so that they sound good. We can set their levels that way, make sure that we're all set to just like go right into our rehearsals.
Sounds like a lot, doesn't it, Erica? Yeah, everything at once. I mean, it's like baking or something where all the pieces, it doesn't work. On the other hand, you said you just improvise. If there's a problem, like 2 and 3 don't patch or whatever, and you have to do them like individually. Can you do that?
Yes, I can on the fly. Probably not in that situation.
Yeah.
But like if there's a show going on and the light's not coming on, I can't stop the show and be like, sorry guys, or it's like, then we have to live with a light being out, or I need to quickly like, maybe it's a scene where I can take an alternate light and manually move it, and the stage manager on my headset can tell me where I need to move it. I had one show where I was helping CIP in one of their summer shows. My spotlight wasn't working, and it was working opening night, second night would not turn on. And so I told the director, and I was like, the bulb is dead. We didn't have a spare. And so there was one time where the spotlight needed to go to my right for the actress who was going to be next to me, and I just kind of ducked under while she was saying her lines. So I took my flashlight, I put it under her face, because it was Wizard of Oz, so it's like, it was one of the times where the witch was like, "You, Dorothy." So it was perfect. So I was like, we had this like really ominous light, and I was like, this is the best we can do. But like, right, did the audience know that the light wasn't working and I, took my flashlight from my cell phone and put it under? Probably not. We definitely did. And, we fixed it for the next show, but it's moments like that where things happen out of your control. You just have to kind of go with the flow where you can. And if you do have time to address it, then we quickly address it.
So adrenaline, do you have to like adrenaline rushes in your job?
You have to at least deal with them.
Yeah.
You have to deal with them for sure. There have been moments where I've been like, okay, we got through it. You take that moment where you have like a time in the script where you have nothing to do and you're with your crew and you're like, okay, let's all take a deep breath. We got past the worst part. Let's, recenter ourselves and then let's, focus again because we still have a show to run. Yeah, we can freak out afterwards for sure. But definitely for the show to go on, we all have to have level heads and we have to, really just think creatively at times to make sure that the show can go on the best that it can.
So what do you like most about your job? This job here at BCC, you're teaching a little, you're running the theater. What do you...
I think I like both the creativity and also like certain problems are like puzzles, and I love solving puzzles. So especially when it's like set building and there's irregular shapes and like how do I get to my finished product? Sometimes it's like I have to think really creatively, and like, okay, I can get this shape out of here, or this half circle, I can position it or structure it like 2 triangles or 3, like, so it's thinking creatively and really going through that process. I really very much enjoy. The other thing too, working with the students, is I love when students kind of, they find that aha moment and they're like, oh, I get it now. And you're like, yes, because it was like, that was my moment when I was a student. That was, when I was a sponge, an undergrad, like soaking up as much. I had so many of those like aha moments, like, oh, this worked. This is so great. Or, okay, this didn't work. Okay, we're going to put that to the side. I know, taking the good and the bad and really learning from it. And, even when things don't work, now that's a source of knowing like, okay, if I know I have this problem again, this is an area I can troubleshoot. This is an area I can go to, or in that puzzle kind of way. Like when I'm patching and lights aren't working, I end up like taking something I know works and testing on something that doesn't, because then that tells me so much about where the problem lies. And it's those moments when students like understand my rationale and they understand like what I'm going through. It's like I love those aha moments because it's wonderful. Like we're thinking critically and we can apply like common sense and experience to really do our jobs the right way and to succeed at what we're doing. So I very much like that with working with the students.
So it's a theater, but it's also the teaching part.
For sure.
That you like. And you get to do you started out talking about drawing, and with the sets, you get to do that kind of designing and...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, now you're painting.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be painting brick soon, so I look forward to it. But definitely... with the painting side of it too, because at one point I wanted to do set design, and then I didn't think I had the skills to do to build sets or do the construction part. So then I kind of strayed to costume design, and so it was like all of my art was just coming together because I'd taken figure drawing. So it's like all the skills, everything was coming together. It was like I can still apply what I've learned and the time and energy I've put into learning this, I can still apply it in theater, which was really great too. Because for me, changing majors, I don't know what certain people, if they change majors, if they ever feel like, oh, I just wasted like so many years on something that I'm not gonna do. But in this case, it was like, oh no, this was actually really beneficial that I took these classes.
Yeah.
Because I'm using these skills anyway for what I want.
Yeah. Wow. It's interesting because I think of you, Alzie, because I go by the lighting. You know, when there's a certain room on this hallway where when the doors open, you can see down to the stage, and it's really exciting. And that's the lighting. That's where the lighting all is. Or what is in that booth?
There's technically like 3 booths. So they used to be a projection, which I think is the main one. Like if you've seen me when I was there temporarily, if you see my laptop, that was the projection booth. Next to is the lighting, and then there's the sound booth. But now with the technology we have, we can just all control it in one area. But that's typically, or traditionally, I should say, where we've called shows, because audience can't see you, so you're everyone who's involved with calling the show is kind of hidden. So
So when you say you're calling the show, so you're up there behind in that booth or whatever, and someone has some headset on or something?
Yeah, so what we do is usually it's the stage manager who calls the show, but they're the ones, in their script, they have where all the cues need to be called. So if lights need to change, if certain sound effects need to happen, if a fly, the pipes that are above the actor's head, if we need to fly in like a drop or a piece of scenery, anything like that, or a prop needs to be handed off. Everyone needs to do those tasks are on headset, and the stage manager is communicating with everybody when those specific cues or tasks need to happen.
Wow.
So definitely being on the side of the person calling the cues, it's a huge responsibility, because it's essentially the show is residing on one person's shoulders to really be on top of what they're doing, paying attention carefully to what's going on. And it's not to diminish anybody else's. You know. Everybody has a crucial role in the back. Actors and backstage crew have a crucial role in the production, but the stage manager is like the captain. They are leading. They're leading the ship and making sure that it's steered properly. So being in the booth, for sure, it's a completely different experience versus like being in the audience. And you know what's going to happen. And seeing that when you have the moment as a stage manager to look up and you have a few pages where you there's nothing going on, and you can see the show and you know what's going on backstage, but the audience is just seeing what's right there.
So interesting.
It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, you just painted a nice picture for me. Yeah, that's cool. Erica, what do you think?
I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, do you have a typical day?
Typical day, yes, and it depends on what time of the year. So when we're in production, most of my time is going to be in the theater, working on, usually it's going to be the set. Lighting and sound don't get added to the very end. Lighting, because they need a set to light, so the set has to be mainly done and painted for them to know specifics of where they want to put their lights. And sound, because it's not really necessary until the very, very end. Even if it's a musical, sound effects, the stage manager can say what those sound effects are, and we don't need to mic people for just the basic rehearsals. So for productions, definitely, I'm mainly in the theater. And then on days, and I try to plan it where it's days that I don't have a lot of students. On those days, then I'm probably in my office doing some of the back end stuff. So forms, getting paying people for their work, for sure. Making sure that marketing things are on schedule. And then of course emails.
It's everything.
Emails.
It's everything.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's a lot. I see you running around a lot.
Yeah, I definitely get my steps in. for sure. Yeah. I think for any profession, but it's I wish time could stop and allow me to work within its confines, because sometimes it doesn't feel like there's enough time to get stuff done. But I try to set goals each week and just this needs to get done, and just stick to that instead of looking at every task, because it can be overwhelming when you just look at everything that needs to get done. You're okay.
Yeah.
Like just like dividing it and just be like, this week we do this and we get it done. This week we do this and get it done and go from there is definitely helped for sure.
I mean, that's kind of transferable to everything, but in your job, it's kind of really necessary.
Yeah.
There can be nothing straggling on the day of production.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, there's been a few productions where we've like 15 minutes before we opened for the audiences when we've put the last like drop of paint, everything's good kind of thing, but we try not to. Those are like extreme emergency productions, huge ones that we try to, you know, make it comfortable for the actors too, because it's also on the actor side, it's not fair if I'm throwing like last minute props at them. And I don't think like I definitely didn't know until I like took an acting class, you know, what actors have to do to prepare for their role and to throw like random stuff at them. It can be very stressful. So it's like, I also try to be cognizant like to that once they start rehearsals, it's as close to the performance when they get in, minus the costumes, but just of what they're holding, where they're walking, what's going to exist. I try to make it so that it's as close to their performance as possible so that even if I do have to, you know, add in something extra, it's not as big a deal as if I added like all the props at the end of the night. Like, they have that time to rehearse in the space for what it will be.
Interesting. You do productions, but they're less pieces, right? When you're doing something at CTSB, a show, she does shows, you know, they do lots of shows.
Theater.
Right. We don't do a lot of live. Though.
Yeah.
Live to tape, we call it now, but it's always like, we can fix it in post.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and they also record all the Shakespeare and Company.
The Fall Festival.
The Fall Festival of Shakespeare.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So you've probably seen a bunch of like maybe some controlled chaos. I think any theater is going to have some controlled chaos. It's just the nature when you have like you're working with like a team of people,
right?
Different personalities, you know, different strengths and weaknesses, and you know, a good theater like enhances the strengths and, you know, supports the weaknesses. And I feel bad for saying weaknesses, but like, you know, wherever someone is lacking, you know, you always do what you can to then help them grow. And, you know, as a whole, it helps the entire production when you know, everybody, it's not just you're lone wolfing it, whether you're an actor or backstage crew, that you're cognizant of what everyone else is doing, I think is super, super important. I always, you know, for actors, I always encourage them to go into tech a little bit, for techies to, you know, dabble in acting, because you do appreciate both sides of the screen, so to speak, you know. I think you'll appreciate what actors have to go through and respect, like, when they're, you know, they're not being a diva, they're just trying to like calm the nerves and like get into character and do their job correctly. And then as an actor, understanding that, you know, there's etiquette with, you know, backstage crew, and they have a very important job to make sure that you succeed as well. So I always encourage the students on both ends, like, you know, this is you know, theater is a collaborative effort, and to, you know what the other person does, you appreciate what they do more. And you respect that too.
What do you think, Erica?
Just like 1 minute.
We have 1 minute. I think that's a perfect way to end. Because collaborative, I mean, it does seem super collaborative.
Oh, definitely.
In the moment collaborative. So that's cool. It must be exciting when it's over.
Yeah.
Like, what happens? You feel a little disappointed?
I've had to get over it. Because mainly it's like we have to take everything apart. And we do that like in a day. So it's like months of work, and like a day we can just like totally take it apart neatly, not destroy it, but you know, I think, you know, I've gotten over past the like, okay, a show's over. There's some shows that stick to me, and it's like, you know, like it was meaningful working with the people on it. You know, you had such a great experience and everything. So those ones, you know, I do, you know, have a little special place in my heart for those shows and the actors that I work with on those shows as well. But theater, it's, you know, it's whatever the next production is. So as much as I might love a production, it's like, okay, we have to move on. We have to move on to the next thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you.
This is great. We talked shop. We really did. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
it's my
Erica.
pleasure. Thank you, Erica.
Yeah. All right.